What up, nation? Welcome back to another edition of the WiseTake NBA Wise stream. CK013 here as usual. You can find me on Twitter at CK_013. Give me a follow, say what's up. And I, of course, am from the WiseTake Nation, which you can find on all the social media platforms listed above. And if you're ready to take a game to the next level, you could visit us directly at WiseTake.com. We are a premium DFS content provider as well as a DFS community designed to help make you a better DFS player. If you are new to the channel, welcome. You came to the right place. Please subscribe, hit that notifications bell so you are notified whenever we do go live and you don't miss any of the free content we put out on this channel. We cover the main three sports extensively: NFL, MLB, NBA, and we also cover some of the ancillary sports. PGA, our NASCAR show has been pretty popular and has been pretty successful overall. Esports we've done, you never really know what we're going to do. So make sure you subscribe, hit the notifications bell, and you won't miss out on anything that you don't want to miss out on. With that said, those of you who've been watching us on the reg, you know the deal. You know what I'm going to say. Hit that like button. I see a lot of you already have, and I appreciate it. The likes go a long way for us, allow us to continue to do dirties. YouTube plays those games. They don't seem to want to push us as much as they want to push some of the other guys out there, because they don't know shit about content. All they know about is money. And don't worry, we're going to be generating some revenue to crank up the ads and shit to make sure that we get the same opportunity that these other people get, because we truly believe our content is among the best. And I think that those of you who watch us regularly would agree, right? That's why you're here. That's why you come every day. So hit that like button. Really helps us out. Goes a long way. The likes allow us to continue to do this for free, and helps to show YouTube that we know what the fuck we're doing, and that we need to be pushed, and that this is what the DFS industry is looking for when they look for NBA DFS, or any kind of DFS for that matter. We've got, 6 games? Pretty good 6-game slate. It's kind of interesting. We still have some question marks around the slate. The slate looks a little bit different from what we talked about on the early look. Obviously, Kristaps Porzingis has been ruled out for rest, and we kind of speculated that would be the case, being that they played so many minutes. They were in a 4-6 back-to-back, all that good stuff. So the slate's a little bit different. We still have a lot of news we're waiting for that could impact the slate pretty dramatically. Terry Rozier has been downgraded to questionable due to an illness. We're waiting on the status of Rudy Gobert, who missed shoot around due to an illness. Coronavirus or not, there's an illness going around. There's people getting stomach bugs, people getting the flu. Coronavirus or not, it's sick season. So everybody be careful. Make sure you wash your hands and do all that shit one way or another. With that said, I appreciate a lot of you guys hitting that like button. Really goes a long way. Seeing you guys respond, it really means a lot. So thank you. Shout out to y'all. What up, Juice? Juice is in here saying, what up, nation? Our boy Chris, what up? How's the doggy? The doggy's good, man. He's a little upset right now because mommy came home for a second to drop off groceries and then left the house again. So he's a little bummed because he's in the office with me. He knows when I start talking to the computer that I'm going to be ignoring him. And so he just does his thing. I gave him some food, make him happy. You know, I spend time. I do things during the day, but he's a puppy. He's got to be kept occupied. But he's just chilling. He's just chilling. His big ass is posted up right underneath the desk, right by my feet. He's growing, too. He is growing. I'll put more Patches pictures, Patches the puppy on, no puppy no more. He's getting big. But I'll put it on my Twitter at CK_013. You can go check it out there. I'll try to keep y'all updated that way. I never had an Instagram personally. We obviously have a WiseTake Instagram. I never used Instagram personally. But I may make one just for things like this, right? Because I don't want to jam up my Twitter from like DFS stuff at the same time. I don't know. We'll see. I've never really been one for the social media. Maybe that's why we're having a hard time getting views here. But what up, Brennan? I see Brennan. What's good? CK, what's good, man? Good to see you. Good to see everybody pouring in here. Just trying to give a couple seconds for everybody to come in. I thought last night went okay. Really, the early look, guys, I'm repeating myself, but really needed LeBron to make that basket at the end. He went for the tie, missed the layup at the basket. A great move, missed the layup. Not clutch. Not clutch. And I'm trying to tell y'all because I don't want to get Paulie going. Paulie's already anti-LeBron. He always has been since I've known the dude. And that's been his biggest gripe against LeBron is that LeBron's not clutch. So I'm sure if brought up, he'll have something to say on that. But I'm not a LeBron hater. Last night I was a little upset. It would have been nice. They went to overtime. I was right on the cusp. Had teams in the top 10, top 15. Like had teams everywhere. Just needed that game to go to OT to give me a little bit extra because I had a lot of Brooklyn and Laker players that didn't quite get there. But it was still a decent night, not bad. And on really, it's been a really good week. Those of you that have been with us for a while know that for the last, I think last week, I had like the worst luck in the world. I kept playing everybody that got hurt. All my highest score players just kept getting injured. So the swings happened. We seem to be on a little bit of a positive swing, building some positive momentum. So I'm really excited about that. And to be honest, XFL has been good to me. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to act like I'm some XFL expert. But the last 2 weeks, XFL has really made my weekend, including this week. I think I finished eighth in the 20 entry max. So was pretty solid doing that. And we don't do the XFL shows. They just weren't getting the views. But I still do a free XFL article at WiseTake.com. So do me a favor, guys. And if you are interested in playing XFL, go check it out because it's free. So make sure you check that out. Matt Smith says, me too, CK. Oh, he had Lakers plus 125, though. Moneyline took it live. Oh, man, that's a bummer, man. LeBron did the dirty to you, man. Dirty beat indeed, Matt. Dirty beat indeed. T-Spaz617 says he scored a 373 last night. Nice, man. Nice. I'm digging it. With the Cleveland chalk? Or you're saying Cleveland was chalk? Either way, it wouldn't be no surprise. They probably should have been chalk with their ownerships. I don't know if they quite got there, but it was a weird slate. So shout out to you, T-Spaz. We'd like to see some positivity. Speaking of positivity, I saw we got a really awesome tweet in today. And I know there's a lot of people that don't have time to tweet us every time they win. But our boy Jason Corey, at Joko3411 on Twitter, has been having some success. Tweeted us saying, almost 2 takedowns in as many weeks. Shout out to the WiseTake Nation. He tagged me and Paulie on it as well. Took second place in a $12 single entry contest on March 10th, 2020 for $1,500. And then I believe, I want to say this is from yesterday at 6, right? The 10th. Yesterday was what? Oh, yesterday, I don't know. This screenshot is from, I guess, a week before, I want to say. But once again, in the $12 single entry, finished first place for $3,000, which was first out of 2.9K people. So shout out to you, bro. We appreciate the screenshots. Anyone else, whenever you win, send us the screenshots. We like to see them. Genuinely happy when we see people win money like that. It goes a long way. I mean, $4,500 in the span of a week or two. Don't tell me you can't use that, right? Because if that was the case, you probably wouldn't be here hanging out with me, right? We could all use that. So shout out to him, and hopefully more to come. Hopefully we see more screenshots from y'all. Some of the guys been with us for a long time, and they're not big social media people, so we'll see screenshots in the Slack chat. But it's nice when we can get them publicly so everybody can kind of see what we do and see that there's positive vibes coming from all around here. Bunch of people pouring in. Appreciate you guys joining us. We're about to dive in now. Hit that like button if you haven't already. Again, really helps us out, allows us to continue to do the free content. So please hit that like button. With that said, let's go ahead and dive in with the first game. Detroit Pistons visiting the Philadelphia 76ers. It's the only 7 p.m. Eastern start time. We have a 211.5 total, down from 215. The Sixers opened up -11. They're up to -11.5. In terms of the schedule, Pistons working with 2 days rest. Philly working with 3 days rest after having that West Coast road trip. As usual, we'll start with the road team. Just smack the mic, my bad. Thon Maker, I think, is going to be somewhat popular as far as value. There's not a ton of super solid value. I'm hoping that we get the Tony Bradley thing opening up just to get me off of him. But for now, I don't mind him. I did lower his projection and across the industry. I was still getting him somewhere around 50%. I'll probably lower that. I'm not super high on the Mega Studs build today. I'll kind of explain that in a second. I kind of like the mid-tier a little bit better, upper mid-tier in that late game, and some of the more expensive value, I guess you could say, guys like Maxi Kleber. So I'm not huge on Thon Maker. I may cap him at around 30 right now. I'm getting around 48% or so. And if Tony Bradley opens up, I'll probably get off him altogether. Well, not altogether. I probably still have 20, 30% or so. But Tony Bradley would be the value play I'm really waiting for. Outside of that, there's not a ton in terms of the value that I feel super confident in. Which is why I kind of like the balance build. Jordan McRae is certainly an option worth taking a shot on. I believe Brandon Knight is back. So I think I kind of prefer Brandon Knight on DraftKings for just $800 more. On FanDuel, we're talking about a $1,200 difference. So if you want to take a shot with McRae, I think it's fine. And again, these are plays that I don't mind getting 10 to 20% of. Just I don't love the value enough to hang my hat on it outside of a couple people. Brandon Knight, like I said, is on the table. Christian Wood, I think he's going to end up playing a ton of minutes. Now, this game can get ugly, and that's really why I can't get around Thon Maker unless we get something else, because I don't think they want to play Thon Maker much, right? He wasn't even really in their rotation, and they're thin as is. But again, with John Henson out, they don't really have a choice. I mean, Christian Wood's not going to play all 48 minutes, so somebody's going to play some backup center, and I think it's going to be him, especially if Embiid plays. He's the next biggest guy. But we'll have to wait and see. In the meantime, not a guy I want to go crazy over. I could just see them not playing him much. I could definitely see it, even with them being shorthanded. But at the same time, he's the best. He's the cheapest value that we have at the moment. That looks like he should play some minutes. So if he starts, we'll give him the green light. Anywhere from 30 to 40, I think, is where I'll be. And again, if we get the Tony Bradley, I'll gladly have way more shares of Tony Bradley instead. But yeah, Christian Wood, Brandon Knight are the main two for me. McRae for value potentially. I'm not really into too much else from the Detroit side, and they don't project all that well. On the Philly side, Josh Richardson is back, so that's going to impact guys like Shake Milton. It's going to impact Tobias Harris and Al Horford a little bit. Joel Embiid is the biggest question mark here. This is a spot where bigs have just smashed Detroit. They've been awful ever since getting rid of Drummond. You thought they were bad with him. They've been awful without Drummond against bigs. With the likes of Thon Maker, Christian Wood, and John Henson trying to play defense down low. So if Embiid does play, I'd be looking for a minutes limit, being as how he's missed so many games, but it would be a complete smash spot. If he gets ruled out, then we'd have to consider Al Horford, even with an elevated price tag, because the spot's so good. He's not a traditional center type, but he's still going to be playing that role in a really soft matchup. So if Embiid is in, I'm not crazy about anyone. Maybe some J-Rich. I don't mind taking shots in Embiid if he's not like limited to 20 minutes. If Embiid is out, maybe some Horford. Tobias looks a little bit better. J-Rich looks a little bit better, assuming there's no injury limit. But again, not going to get too crazy on this first game, just because it's got a low total and doesn't look like all that great of a game. But again, when a team's got injuries like Philly does, guys got to play the minutes. So Thon Maker, whether you like it or not, unless we find something a little better, a little more solidified. If he doesn't start, then fuck it. There's no need. And they could start Christian Wood at the 5 if they want. They won't have success either way, but I guess technically they could. Moving on, we've got the New York Knicks visiting the Atlanta Hawks. We've got a 230 total. Atlanta opened up -4.5. They are up to -5 at home. The Knicks are on the back end of a back-to-back as well as a 4-6. Atlanta's had one day off. They are on a 4-6 stretch, but that day off certainly helps. Keep in mind, Atlanta's last game was that double OT game against Charlotte just the other day. Julius Randle, I was getting exposure to. I would assume the field will as well. I don't know how much exactly, but I do think he'll be somewhat owned against Atlanta. This is the second highest total on the board. So Randall's fine. The Knicks are kind of hard to take to really like go firm on because the rotations have been so inconsistent. They're obviously not motivated to win. And they're just, for no reason at all, they can play Randall 25 minutes and just justify it with whatever they want, especially being that this is a back-to-back and a 4-6. But if we were going to approach this game the straight up, it's Elf and Randall as my number 1 and 2s. I do think they correlate well together to a degree, even though in basketball I'm not crazy about correlation. On FanDuel, I expect Elf to be kind of popular at 6'2". On DraftKings, I was getting somewhere around 20%, and I'm comfortable with that. He does have upside. If Elf does not do well, there's a good chance that RJ Barrett does. We often see Elf's minutes get cut short. They bring in Frank Nitti for defense, and then RJ Barrett kind of takes over that role. But I think my favorite Nick to take a chance on is probably Mitch Robinson. I don't know how it's going to work out in terms of exposure, but this is a team he's had good history against. Assuming he does start, I was getting more Randall and I was getting more Elfrid Payton, but this is a team that even this year, in 2 out of the 3 meetings that Mitch Robinson has had against Atlanta, granted he was playing bigger minutes back then, but he went for over 40 DraftKings points twice, and that was the 2 most recent times. So I could be interested in that, a low ownership, assuming that he plays. He's been questionable, nursing a little hamstring issue. I think he's been sick, so a lot going on. But I don't even think he's questionable anymore. So he's somebody I don't mind slipping some exposure to. But again, even him, the minutes are just inconsistent, really hard to gauge. Frank Nitti, an off-the-wall tournament play, they could decide to bring him in here to, play some defense on Trae Young potentially. On the Atlanta side, I do like Trae Young. I think Trae Young's ownership is going to be significantly lower than Luka's, and I understand it for good reason. I don't necessarily love the Stars and Scrubs build right now, just because I think it's going to be really popular. But if you are going to do it, it's not the worst idea to try to pivot a little bit and get some exposure to Trae Young. The Knicks have been bad against guards in general. Trae Young obviously has massive upside, and he would really be the only Hawk that I'm really that interested in. Kevin Huerter, John Collins, they're all supposed to play. Collins would be the next one, but I think his price is just a little crazy. But it is a good matchup. We've seen Big slice up the Knicks, so I don't think it's the worst idea in the world. I think Dedmon is even on the table, but Trae Young is most likely the main Atlanta Hawk that I'll have exposure to. Not going to go too crazy playing the game with DeAndre Hunter, Huerter. I think we just have other plays on the board that I'd rather take a shot on in other games. Truth be told. But this is definitely a game stackable game. I expect this game in general to get some ownership. I expect to see some game stacks. It's the second highest total, and outside of the top 2 total games, the rest of them are all kind of ugly. So I do think it makes some sense. For sure. We're going to move on. Just give me 1 sec here. Right quick. All right. All right, let's go on to the Charlotte Hornets visiting the Miami Heat. Charlotte Hornets visiting Miami Heat. Then I'll pop into the Slack. I'll pop into the chat real quick. Talk to my people. Matter of fact, I'm gonna do that now. I think it's perfect for every 2 games, so I'm gonna do that now. I'm gonna pop in there now and see what are my people up to. Arizona Drama, what's happening, bro? Good to see you. Haha, what's up, bro? Cash last night, 328 with Hayward, Ariza, Ross, and Lyles was low-owned. Help me fly. Let's take tonight's slate. That sounds great, man. That sounds really, really good. Hayward obviously went nuts. Ariza had an awesome game. I didn't even pay attention to Ross and Lyles, but props to you for playing Lyles. When LMA was back, you knew everybody was going to bail on him, especially because he hadn't been reaching his potential over the last few days. So if he did do well and you played him at low ownership, props to you, man. I think that was a slick play. Arizona Drama says, Elf almost screwed me last night. I ain't playing him tonight. Screw him. I don't blame you, man. Like, you know, everybody's going to tell you got to have that short-term memory. But I don't blame you. It's tough. It's easier said than done when a player screws you the way they did. And he didn't play well. Oh, we did just get word on Joel Embiid. Looks like Joel Embiid will play. I'll let you guys know if we get any kind of word on a minute limitation or anything like that. I would assume there's going to be some sort of a limit. Let me see. I'll let y'all know. For now, all I see is that Joel Embiid will play. So I'll keep you guys posted with that. But obviously, it's going to hurt everybody else. And to be honest with you, like I said, if Embiid's a full go, this is a fucking phenomenal spot for him. Game most likely blows out, but phenomenal spot for him. Hit that like button. Let's roll. Marco says Randall and Elf bounce back game. It's certainly on the table. It's certainly possible. This game has a close spread. Vegas anticipates it being close. The Knicks are on the back end of a back-to-back and a 4-6. It's not the greatest spot, but you would think that if people were going to do it, if the Knicks were going to do it, you would think it'd be them too. But it really could be Bobby Portis. It really could be Mitch Robinson. It really could be some of the bench players. So tough to gauge, but definitely an interesting spot for a bounce back for sure. Marco. T-Spaz, yep, Embiid will play. Yep, thanks for sharing that in the chat. Appreciate it. Everybody, it's a community aspect to this. Aaron says, looking at Portis for possible value play. Yeah, absolutely. I don't mind it. I can't go heavy on a guy like that for no reason. I mean, he's been playing well. But to have some exposure, like, you know, anywhere from 5 to 15 to 20%, sure, why not? He's been on a roll. We like playing players that are hot, and he's hot. But I do think that if there was going to be a bounce back spot for Elf and Randall, you would think it would be today against the Hawks. This is a good matchup for it. It's just a matter of, are the Knicks coaches going to play them the proper minutes? That's what we don't know. So moving on to the Charlotte-Miami game. We've got a 209 total down from 211.5. Not exactly exciting. Miami Heat opened up -10. They're up to -11. Charlotte has had 1 day off. Miami's had 2 days off. So Charlotte's had a day off since that double overtime game against Atlanta. PJ Washington had a horrendous game. Can't even talk. Horrendous game. Maybe this is a spot where he bounces back. We'll have to wait and see. Terry Rozier is the most interesting piece of news we're waiting for. He was probable with an illness. Now he's questionable. The fact that he got downgraded is not necessarily a good sign. I really wasn't into a ton of this game, especially the Charlotte side. But if Rozier was going to miss, we would have to take a look at Miles Bridges. We would have to take a harder look at Caleb Martin. I'm sorry, his brother. Is it Cody Martin? Cody Martin. And then, of course, Devontae Graham. His price has been elevated, but it's not like out of the realm. And we know the usage would be through the roof if Terry Rozier were to be out. We'd expect his minutes to be through the roof. So Charlotte's a team that we can get a little bit more interested in if Terry Rozier were to miss. However, I don't necessarily want to load up on that situation and ignore some of the other games because Miami very well could put the boots to him. They should put the boots to him. So I'll just kind of leave it at that. So the news is still important because if Rozier's in, there's not really a ton from this game I'm all that interested in at all. But if he's out, then obviously I'm going to want to grab at least some exposure to these situations. Holla, holla, holla. Do a quick little update there. On the Miami side, similar concept. So the difference between these two, both teams play really slow. The difference is Charlotte is terrible defensively. Miami's actually not bad defensively. Jay Crowder is probable, assuming that he's a go. I think his price is low on both sides. I think he's an interesting value play. I don't mind Goran Dragic. His minutes have been down, but we still have players that are questionable here. Tyler Hero is questionable. If he comes back, that's going to affect players on the second unit. That's going to affect the minutes, I think, of Duncan Robinson, who they've been relying on as their primary three-point shooter. Jimmy Buckets is questionable. Kendrick Nunn is questionable. So these are all pieces that matter. Going through hypothetics, if Kendrick Nunn is the only one who misses, then obviously Butler's a better play. Goran Dragic's a better play. And Bam Adebayo, some of the surrounding players. If Jimmy Buckets miss and Nunn is in, Nunn is a phenomenal value play at that point because I think his minutes would be extremely high. If Nunn and Butler miss, we'll load up on Dragic. I don't give a damn. We'll load up on Dragic, play more Crowder, play more Bam Adebayo. Bam is in an awesome spot here against Charlotte, right? Centers do the dirty against Charlotte. The only issue, of course, is Bam is ridiculously expensive for his actual projection. And I have his minutes projected through the roof. FanDuel, it seems a little easier to get him. He's cheaper and power forward eligible over there. On DraftKings, at center only at $9K, it's tough. But anticipate the low ownership because he will be low owned AF. I don't think people are going to want to pay that money, especially not in this game when they're afraid of a blowout. So the injury news is very, very important for Miami. The more players that are out for Miami, the more likely the game is to stay close hypothetically. And obviously that would increase the value of these players, which would make their prices, which now seem accurate, seem underpriced. So a situation to keep an eye on as we get the news. We should get that news sometime soon. So if I get it, I'll let y'all know. If y'all get it first, pop it in the chat and we'll look into it. Let's move on to the next. We've got the Utah Jazz visiting the Oklahoma City Thunder. Pull them up. Utah Jazz visiting the Oklahoma City Thunder. We've got a 218.5 total. This total has come up 1 full point from 217.5. OKC opened up -2. They're up to -3 at home. So Utah's had 1 day off. They are in the midst of a 4-6 with some travel, but they've had a day off. OKC's had 2 days off. So they're nice and rested going into this one. Starting with the Utah side, Clarkson definitely provides some value if you need it. It's a risk, it's a chance, but he obviously also has a lot of upside, which we like in value play. So the floor might not be great, but the ceiling is certainly decent at those prices. So I'm interested in him. I think Mike Conley has an interesting price. Him and Chris Paul going at it, they're both decent defenders, so I'm not like ecstatic about it, but of the two of them, the price is pretty good here, I think. Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell at his price, I think, is in play. I think that he's got a lower floor than I think people remember. We saw against Toronto, he had scored in the 20s, I think, or something like that. That's going to happen occasionally, and he's kind of streaky with that. Sometimes when he has those kind of games, I'll chase the bounce back, and he'll just consistently suck for like 3 or 4 days. But this is a matchup that he could excel against OKC, being that he is a shooter. If he's playing efficiently, he'll go out there and ball. If he's not, then obviously the inverse will happen, and you'll get a floor game from him. But the minutes are going to be there. He's always worth taking a shot on, especially on an ugly 6-game slate like this. Rudy Gobert, if he plays, is cheap. I'm not thrilled with the spot, but I'm more excited if he gets ruled out to play Tony Bradley. There's Tony Bradley. Ed Davis potentially would back him up, but definitely Tony Bradley is the one that we would want to load up on, assuming that he starts. I always say this like definitely, but it really comes out as long as he starts, because guys that don't start, I mean, playing that game, chasing them, going heavy exposures on guys that don't start. It's one thing if you know they're part of the second unit, like Buddy Hield, right? Like we know he's part of the second unit. It's another thing to take a guy that only plays like 13 to 15 minutes a game and then just assume he's going to get it if he doesn't start. So if Gobert is out and Tony Bradley starts, we will fire away on Tony Bradley with no fear. You understand? No fear. Bojan Bogdanovic obviously in play also. So Utah's kind of okay. I'm not super thrilled with it, but I'm fine. I think the game will be competitive. This has the potential to go to an overtime type scenario, but both teams not exactly fast. Both teams try to emphasize defense. I say that because Utah has been sliced up from time to time, but OKC has been above average in defensive metrics so far this season. Speaking of OKC, if Gobert is out, the spot for Adams, I guess, would get a little softer. Gobert is obviously a really big dude, but the need for Adams may go down, right? It may make more sense for them to play a little bit more Noel. It's just speculation. But the reason I bring it up is because Steven Adams is very affordable on both sites, especially on DraftKings at 5.6, where you do get the potential double-double bonus. So I think Adams is a fine play at center. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is returning. His price is really affordable on DraftKings, kind of interesting. And I do like the more balanced builds, and this team kind of fits in that balanced build. I think Danilo Gallinari is the one I'm most likely to have the most of. Not to say that I don't necessarily mind Schroeder or Chris Paul or any of those guys, but I do think that Adams and Gallo are the two that I prefer. And then Shai Gilgeous, because of his price on DraftKings, kind of interesting. Not over the top, but definitely some interest here on a 6-game slate. Some places I think we can go, if you will. Some direction, if you will. Let's see here. Still nothing on Terry Rozier. Still nothing on Joel Embiid in terms of any kind of minute limitation or anything like that. Again, we'll keep posted with the news and keep track. I'm going to pop into the chat, talk to you guys a little bit. I want to hear your thoughts. Going kind of quick. We got a bunch of time to kill, but it's okay because my favorite game is yet to come. And the next two games I think are the most interesting anyway, and should take up some time. So let me pop up in here and check on y'all real quick. Arizona Drama says, who's your favorite power forward tonight for FanDuel? I like Zion. I love Zion. We will get there to the New Orleans Kings game, but spoiler alert, I love that game. Right? You heard me mention that I'm not crazy about the Stars and Scrubs. If Tony Bradley opens up, I don't even know if I'm going to use him to get like the studs, but I'll use him to get more New Orleans players. maybe some more Kings players. Not that I need it for that, but I kind of like that range. But I do like Zion quite a bit. I like a lot of the Pelican players. Obviously, I think I'm doing like 170 teams. And DraftKings, what's up with the contest today? I was very disappointed, and I can't say they're wrong because the contests are not filling as quickly as I thought they were. I was pretty confident they would just fill and we get more of these things to, I get a secondary contest to join. But I was very disappointed, man. The $4 20 entry max was not big. The $2 150 max was not big at all. Not even worth playing. I'm not going to put up 300 to potentially win 500. It doesn't make no sense to me. So I was a little disappointed with the contest that they did put out. But hopefully they put out some good secondary ones. I'll be looking throughout and just kind of hoping that they do it. But again, the $2, man. How you gonna make a $2 with less than 6,000 people in it and only give for me to max into that? That's $300. And if I win first place, it's only $500. Granted, when you win first, typically you do a little better than that, but still, it's fucking whack. So we'll see. Hopefully they open up some secondary contests the closer that these contests come to fill, and I'm hoping for it. Hit that like button if you haven't already, nation. Goes a long way. Really helps us out. Arizona Drama says, who's gonna cover Gallo tonight? Oh man, I would assume. I guess they could try with Bojan Bogdanovic, but I think that we'll see Royce O'Neal in there at times to cover him. I do like Gallo for that reason. I do think he represents somewhat of a matchup issue because Bogdanovic is going to have his hands full, but Royce O'Neal I think he could handle that job. But if they're using him for that, they still got Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Schroeder potentially off the bench. They have other guys they have to worry about as well. So that is a good point. Our boy OGMG, longtime WiseTake Nation member. Tony Bradley with no fear if Gobert is out, no doubt. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. NMG also says probably Royce O'Neal would guard him. I agree with that. Appreciate those of you that are just joining us. If you haven't hit that like button, please hit that like button. It really helps us out. It really goes a long way. I know I'm annoying the way I say this shit, but YouTube ain't helping me. YouTube is not helping the nation. It is up to us to make sure everybody knows to hit that like button and to make sure everybody knows to push our own content because YouTube hates. Oh, okay. So we got some news action going on here. We got some news action breaking out here. So we got some stuff to look at together. All right, here we go. So Jimmy Buckets has been ruled out. Jimmy Butler, that is, for those of you who don't know. Tyler Hero is available to play. Kendrick Nunn is available to play. Jay Crowder officially available to play. So let's take a look at the usage this year and see what this means for us. I'm going to pull up Miami, do some on-court, off-court action, and we're going to straight up see who gets the boost. It's definitely going to make me like Dragic more. I'm going to like Bam a little bit more, but let's actually take a look at the numbers and see. Maybe Iggy. Iggy probably gets more run. I always forget he's there. Iggy may get more run, though. Iggy's name is not Iggy. It's Iguodala. Every time I try to look him up, I type in Iggy and nothing comes up. 3,200. So if you want the value, if you really want the value, we can take a shot on it. But anyway, let's take a look at this. So we're going to remove Jimmy Butler, Myers Leonard. I wonder if Derrick Jones Jr. is going to get the start. Tyler Hero's in. Kendrick Nunn is in. So it's just Buckets and Leonard, I think, at this point. So let's run it over the course of this season. Goran Dragic, 28.4% usage rate, 1.15 fantasy points per minute. So elevated usage rate, elevated fantasy point per minute average. However, how many minutes is he going to play? I would think with Butler out that they may play him a little bit more, but we'll have to see. Bam Adebayo, 21.8% usage rate, 1.34 fantasy points per minute. I can dig it. We have other players that we have to remove here too. There's no Winslow obviously anymore on this team, so give me a second because I have to make those things myself. Deion Waiters, oh god, on the Lakers. How lucky does that dude get? And he's in LA where he can eat up like gummies he wants. That's so funny. All right, now looking at the samples. Tyler Hero's usage actually looked pretty good, 26.4%. I don't mind taking shots on him. He missed so much time that it's hard for me to imagine him playing a lot of minutes. But with Butler out, maybe he does. Anyway, on to the increases. Jay Crowder sees a slight increase, but the samples are really small. Keep that in mind. Bam does see a 1.1% increase. So I think I will give a boost to Bam. Let's see. Before I move on to the next game, let's pull up Miami and adjust these projections together. So Bam Adebayo, I'm going to give a significant boost to. Jimmy Buckets is out. Duncan Robinson probably sees more minutes even with Tyler Hero back. Goran Dragic I had at 29. He hasn't really played that, but I'm just going to give him a little boost because I do expect him to play a little bit more. Maybe we'll give him 29.5. Kendrick Nunn, I mean, I would assume. What was his usage like? I didn't even look at him. Is it just a minutes thing? Kendrick Nunn technically goes down 0.6% in usage, but I do expect his minutes to be a little higher. 23.4% usage rate really isn't bad. 0.95 fantasy points per minute. And like I said, I kind of expect him to see an increase in minutes. He played 29 minutes against Washington. I expect him to play somewhere around there again. Now, again, he had 17 minutes against New Orleans. He played 23 against Orlando. And Buckets missed some time, so it's not exactly a lock by any means. But let's see what happens if we move him to 30.5. I think I want to get some. This helps Miami. I don't want to overreact and feel like I have to load up on all this Miami all of a sudden. But it does help to have Jimmy Buckets out and have some guys with some other usage. As you can see, Kendrick Nunn, that really helped his projection out. Maybe we'll bump it down just a tick. I don't want him to be that strong of a play over Dragic because I think Dragic has more ceiling for us. He's the higher point per minute average. I just think that Nunn is going to play more minutes in general. But again, they have Tyler Hero, other guys they can kind of rotate in and out with. It doesn't have to be him. I'm just waiting for this thing to update. And Bam, man, we really got to raise Bam something crazy because he just does not project well on DraftKings. On FanDuel, looking like an awesome play. Even now, without the extra boost I just gave him, looking like an awesome play. So we'll give this a second to update, and then we'll move on. I just resorted it also, so that should come through shortly. But, all right, there we go. So, yeah, Crowder, Nunn, Dragic, all looking good. Bam looking a lot better, especially on FanDuel. Bam looks pretty good on FanDuel. And, again, I'll finalize these on the transition. Just wanted to do, like, a rough outline with you guys so you guys can kind of see what I'm looking at here. Right here. All right, with that said, let me pop in a chat before we start with the next two games. I'm getting. New Orleans, Daniel D. New Orleans players getting a bit expensive. Yeah, and that's kind of one of the reasons that I like him, Dan, because I think people are going to back off. It's got the highest total on the board, and it's not projecting for the ownership that I think it should be on this kind of slate. But that is a good point. They are getting expensive. Arizona Drama says, I do $2 times 5 on FanDuel. I enter a ton of lineups. So $10 winning for every entry. Love it. I feel you, Drama. So damn, Butler out. Bam to play tonight or Duncan? So yeah, Duncan Robinson is definitely going to get more minutes. He's gonna get some shots. But keep in mind that him and Tyler Hero in the beginning of the season were kind of interchanging for each other because they're very similar players in that they shoot the three a ton. But I do like Duncan. It helps. On FanDuel, I'd like him more. DraftKings kind of a stretch, right? 6K is kind of tough, but that's going to keep his ownership low. Marco says, is Dragic starting? He hasn't been starting, so I don't necessarily want to assume that he's going to start. But I do think that he may play more minutes, and obviously when he's on the court, his usage should be a lot higher because he's not going to be playing with Butler at all today. Dorian Finney-Smith's questionable. Yes, Dorian Finney-Smith, T-Spaz, good looking out for the nation. But Dorian Finney-Smith, DFS, is now questionable. He's been downgraded to questionable. MG, do we look at Boban? Well, with that said, let's get into the next game because it is Boban's game coming up next. We've got the Denver Nuggets visiting the Dallas Mavericks. What the hell? There it is. We've got a 220.5 total. That's up 2.5 points from 218, despite the fact that Porzingis was ruled out. Denver opened up -1.5. They're up to -2.5. Starting with the road team. Schedule action. So Denver's had a day off. Dallas is on the back end of a back-to-back in the midst of a 4-6. We talked about Porzingis we talked about the potential of him sitting on the back-to-back 4-6. He's been playing 10 minutes and ended up coming to fruition. So starting with the Denver side, first of all, Denver's been awful. Has anybody noticed that? Has anybody noticed how bad Denver's been? They've been fucking terrible. Really, really bad. Just really, really struggling. Barely beat Charlotte. They barely, at home, they played the Milwaukee Bucks in Denver. They were rested. The Bucks were on like a 4-6 back-to-back. And then the Bucks rested all their main players. Basically played just G League players. And those G League dudes hung with the Dallas starters for pretty much the entire game. But anyway, Paul Millsap certainly worth taking a shot on, especially on FanDuel where he's 4,800. He played 21 minutes last game, but balled out. The minutes being inconsistent makes it hard to take a substantial stand without an injury. I think Will Barton is is an option, especially on FanDuel at 5.7. That's a really good price. At 6.2 on DraftKings, I really don't mind it either. The minutes have been up for Barton. He was in a little bit of a funk, but he's been playing a lot better recently. 32 minutes against Milwaukee, 37 minutes against Cleveland. The usage is not as high as we'd like, but he is grabbing some boards. He's doing what he can to stay active and stay relevant. So I don't hate the idea of Barton. Who I have at 33.5. Say we move him to 0.75. That'll help him on FanDuel, but it should help him on DraftKings a little bit too. You can argue to put him at 34. I was a little reluctant because, again, he only got 32 minutes against Milwaukee. But towards the end of that game, there was some separation, so that could have been why. But I'm cool with Barton. I'm okay with Jamal Murray. I think Jokic, from a tournament perspective, is very interesting. Dallas has really struggled against bigs in general lately. Now, Porzingis is out. Curious to see if he's the reason. But Jokic, from an ownership perspective, going to be really low owned. He's been terrible. He's been really popular over the last couple slates too. He's been pretty damn popular. Like, I've been surprised, and he's been terrible. So something to keep an eye on if you're okay with taking some risk for the upside. There's some upside here. Again, Dallas has been getting destroyed by centers. I know Porzingis is out, but I don't think they have anyone else behind him that's going to make a difference there. And again, I think Jokic is going to be really low owned. And then, of course, Jamal Murray. You could take some shots on if you'd like. I know when we're doing the early look, I know a few of you were talking about Gary Harris. He's apparently been playing a lot better, which I thought was a good take. He's been playing a lot better than we're used to. His usage has been up. He's a little bit more aggressive with the shots. So the minutes haven't always been up. Against Cleveland, he only played 31 minutes. Against Milwaukee, he only played 32. So it's hard to project him too much higher than what we have him at now. But we do want to kind of reflect the way he's been playing recently. So I just bumped him up to around 33.25. We'll see what that. I don't think it's going to help him out too much. You can see it moved him up to like 5x. That's just kind of a reflection of how bad he's been this season. Last year, it's not really a thing. I mean, he was a guy that you would play all the time, and if there were injuries, he was one of the first guys you looked to. A little bit of a different story this year. So if you're playing him, you're probably getting him in a hand-built team or doing a game stack setting or something like that. But I think some of you guys will like this game to stack. I'm okay with it. I expect this game to be somewhat popular simply because I think a lot of people will be on the Dallas side of this game, especially Luka Doncic, who was already projected to be popular even before Porzingis actually got ruled out. So we'll roll up in that thing. Getting news for tomorrow. Love when that happens, don't you? Don't you just love it when you're like frantically waiting for important news on today's slate and you start getting news for tomorrow? For anyone wondering, Zach LaVine is doubtful for Thursday and Draymond Green is out for Thursday, for anyone wondering. All right, on the Dallas side of this ball, like I said, I expect Luka to be popular. I think Maxi Kleber will be popular. Kleber's one of my favorite value plays on the slate. I think he gets a ton of minutes. A little worried about the situation against Jokic and Millsap, but Denver's been really bad against centers this year too. I mean, when Millsap's there, it's not as bad, but his minutes have been down anyway. But I do think Kleber's interesting. I think he gets a lot of minutes. I'm more into the balanced builds, and he kind of fits as like a mid-tier value, right? He's not Thon Maker at 3,100, but he helps. And I think he does see over 30 minutes today. Dorian Finney-Smith, we mentioned, is questionable. If he were to get ruled out, I think that helps Kleber's case. I do think there's a possibility we see Boban in that sense. Now, I think Jokic could probably slice Boban up because Jokic can play from the perimeter. Boban can't really, but maybe a guy like Plumlee would match up better for Bogdanovic. So we'll have to see. If they have too many injuries, it is what it is. Keep in mind they do have Willie Cauley-Stein, who's probable. So even if Boban were to play, I really don't see any substantial minutes coming his way because of Cauley-Stein's presence. But if Dorian Finney-Smith gets ruled out, that's one more player that's out. Seth Curry's out. Tim Hardaway Jr. has been playing a ton and actually been playing really well. So there's some variables here to consider. If DFS does get ruled out, who's the main benefactor? It could be Michael Kidd-Gilchrist. It could be Justin Jackson. Maybe Courtney Lee gets some more run and they bump guys down. So a situation to monitor, no doubt. Either way, Paul Millsap is kind of looking like a matchup issue for this team. Right? Wouldn't you say so? Especially if Kleber does play the 5. We'll have to see what they're starting lineup. Now, I'll say this. If Kleber starts at the 4 and they start Cauley-Stein at the 5, then I would think they're going to have to play Boban, right? Also, if you're taking this game from like a blowout perspective, you can see Boban on the court more. But in the meantime, I do like Kleber. I didn't overproject Luka. So if you're using our projections today, you're going to get some Luka, especially if the Tony Bradley value opens up. I was getting somewhere around 25 to 30%. So I'm kind of making the decision to go underweight, a conscious decision, I should say, to be clear, to go underweight. That's just kind of the builds that I was getting, kind of the situation that I was looking at. So, again, with the injury, normally I'd load up on Luka, and it makes sense. The usage rate for Luka is ridiculous, the point per minute. But keep in mind, he's dealing with a wrist injury. He's dealing with a thumb injury. He's played well. If you follow his game logs, it looks like he's played well in 2 straight games. However, one of those games, that I think it was the Pacers game, did go to overtime. So he wasn't really, it looked like he wasn't going to get there. And then overtime obviously helped push him to where he had to go. Or no, I'm sorry. It was a while ago. It was against New Orleans, right? Yeah, New Orleans was overtime. He went for 73. After that, against Memphis, only went for 39. He went for 64 and 63 against the Pacers and the Spurs. That was solid. No complaints. Usage was awesome. The shots were good. 13 for 26 in both games. Triple-double upside for sure. But again, it's just a game theory thing. I think Luka's a phenomenal play. I would play him in cash, no doubt. In tournaments, I think it'll be an easier path for us if he is popular, if he's just kind of mediocre. I mean, he would really have to go for 6x or better to really hurt you, I think. So, again, not fading Luka, but I do think as of now, according to the projected ownership I see on him, my plan is to go a little underweight and just kind of hope for the best and maybe get overweight on a guy like Trae Young, or really what I really want to do is go more balanced. It looks like Boban's getting some love here. I'm seeing Boban on the projected ownership, which is, it's ballsy. I respect it, man. I love Boban. I don't want people to think I'm a Boban hater. I love the dude. I just don't really see him getting, I mean, they just never do. And against Jokic, the way he plays the perimeter, I don't know. It's not really seeing why they would do that. But they may not have a choice if too many guys end up missing, if too many guys end up hurt. I mean, we got Boban at 5.1x, even with the 10 minutes or whatever it is we haven't projected for it. Let me check one other source to see. Now, if Cauley-Stein was ruled out, then I'd feel a little better about it. And again, this game could easily blow out, which could lead to that. But what do you guys think? Talk to me about Boban. I want to hear your thoughts on Boban, the Bobabinator. Some sources have him as high as 14 minutes today. How many minutes do you think Boban plays today? That is my question to y'all. He played 9 minutes against the Spurs, 8 against the Pacers, 4 against Memphis. He played 22 against Chicago. He did play 22 against Chicago back on March 2nd in a close game. Went for 32 DraftKings points. Just not a player I could play at a really high exposure either way. I'm just nervous about. I mean, the ceiling is also kind of an issue. But we'll see if DFS is out again. They're going to become a little bit more thin, and we may have to revisit the projections and maybe even give Boban more minutes and see what that does. We have him for about 10.5 or 11 minutes, and he projects for 5x even with that. So it ain't going to take much of an increase to get him projected to where you start getting him in teams and shit. Arizona Drama says Max Sneaky lets you fit Jokic and Luka. If you're talking about Maxi Kleber, I think he's a good play. However, I definitely don't think that he's going to be loaned. I think Maxi Kleber will be pretty popular today because the value is not that strong. If we get the Tony Bradley, then I think we'll see a lot of Trae. This is another question about Trae Young and Luka in a lineup together. If Tony Bradley opens up, I wouldn't be surprised. What is Thon Maker on FanDuel? I forget. I'll look right here. Thon Maker on FanDuel is center. Okay, so the Tony Bradley thing. I mean, I don't mind it. I don't hate it. I would feel better about it with Tony Bradley instead of Thon Maker in that scenario. But the Luka Trae Young combo on FanDuel, I think you can make it work. On DraftKings, it'll be a little easier to make it work. To answer your question, we do have a starting lineup for the Atlanta Hawks. It looks like the Hawks will start Trae Young, Kevin Huerter, DeAndre Hunter, John Collins, Dwayne Dedmon. Nothing new there. Still waiting on some important news to come, so hopefully we get it and I can drop it to y'all. Dirty style, long and hard. All right, let's move on, unless there's anything in here. Arizona Drama says not playing him. Boban is too risky taking a value play, especially with Maxey in. I'm considering taking Fox and Luka than paying up at center. Understood. And I think that at this point, the pay up at center may become contrarian if we get Tony Bradley. I'm waiting for that Tony Bradley, man. I'm waiting. I'm not even trying to hide that shit. Appreciate those of you hanging out with us. Hit that like button if you haven't already. Really helps us out. It allows us to continue to do dirties. We got one more game left, nation. And then we'll take a little pause, bring on Paulie, the motherfucking D, and break it down LD style. All right, let's get up in here. We've got the New Orleans Pelicans visiting the Sacramento Kings. Highest total on the board here at 233. That has fallen from 235. That's fallen 2 points, but it's still the highest total on the board. Pelicans opened up -1.5 on the road. They are still -1.5, which is surprising to me because Pelicans are playing really good. Both these teams extremely rested. New Orleans and Sacramento both working with 2 days rest each, which is one of the reasons. This is my favorite game by far. Not even close. This is my favorite game by far. And that's part of the reason that my justification in going a little lower on Luka, not getting too crazy with the Stars and Scrubs build, is because the pricing of the New Orleans players is like upper mid tier. The pricing of the Kings players minus De'Aaron Fox is more like mid to lower mid tier. So I like this game. This is the game that I plan on going to war with. There's a little bit of everything. There's some narrative involved with Alonzo Ball, De'Aaron Fox. In college they were considered rivals. I guess they were compared to each other constantly. But I like this game a ton. I think Nicolo Melli, starting off with him for value, that's a value play I'm willing to take a shot on, especially on DraftKings where you get a little extra for the 3-pointers. That's his specialty. He has not shot particularly great lately, but that is his job. So he will correct it, and at some point he's gonna go like 8 for 8 from 3 and just smash. So I'm interested in Melli. I love Zion, Ingram, Holiday, and Ball. I like all 4 of them. Lonzo Ball obviously is a little harder to fit in. I had to elevate his minute projection. I mean, I did kind of increase everyone here to make them stand out because I want to make sure I get the exposures I'm looking for. So if you see the minutes you don't necessarily agree, and I have them a little jacked up, that's the reason. It's because I want to make sure that our people are getting some exposure to this game, and a good amount of exposure at that. So, simply put, man, the Kings don't play no good. The Kings don't play defense. They're not as fast as they used to be, but we know New Orleans is going to push the pace. Both teams are very rested. I expect both teams to be pretty efficient from the field. It's just a really good situation. So, now my issue is separating them. I think Zion is technically my favorite as of now. I think he's due for a big game. The Kings are terrible against bigs. Brandon Ingram and Drew Holiday are like neck and neck for 2 and 3 for me. Ingram, I will say this. Normally, I wouldn't want to play him with his teammates a ton, but I'm willing to do it today because I think it's a situation where maybe everybody's just efficient together. But Ingram's usage has been a little inconsistent. Drew Holiday's been playing phenomenally. He's looked awesome. Now, I do think he'll be tasked with covering Fox at times, which could get him into foul trouble, whatever the case may be. But I like Holiday. He's just been playing great. I don't like his price, but that's going to keep his ownership low. Lonzo Ball, same situation. I don't like the price, but I think it's going to keep the ownership low. He's been playing extremely well. He's got some narrative here going up against Fox. Favors, I even have interest in. Not a ton, but some. I like this game in general. I like the New Orleans side. They are compiling I have a pretty substantial ownership. I'll read you off, and these obviously these builds were a little earlier, so they're not updated. I'll run those later. But to give you an idea, I'm talking like Holiday 40-something%, Ingram 40-something%, Zion 50-something%, Melly I was getting around 30, Lonzo Ball I had to raise his projection. I was only getting around 15 to 20, and I felt like that was too low. I like this game. I like all these players. Which ones are going to do it? That's the question. But that's one of the reasons I'm not super big on the studs, because I can use the value we have to just get more of these guys, get 4 of these guys instead, and with some bringbacks to the Kings on the other side. So I love this game as a game stack. I'm just going to hope the ownership stays low, just kind of sit back. I'm going to be looking like an asshole for the entire day when all my teams are basically in last place. But then when this game starts, hopefully, the point is, hopefully we just kind of take off at night with a late night hammer and just ride into the sunset victorious, if you will. And this is a late night hammer. The Jazz game and the Denver game are both at 8. After that, this game ain't until 10:30. So there's 2.5 hours where I'm just going to be sitting with my D and my H, my D in my hands, if you will, just waiting around, feeling like a dumbass because I'm not casting shit. But I'm willing to do it. Let's go. Low ownership. Let's do it. On the Kings side, De'Aaron Fox is my favorite, no doubt. I know Buddy Hield's minutes have been down, but the usage is high. I'm willing to take some shots. I want some of him. And you can see the Kings projecting pretty well, too, for the mid-tier. Now, from a raw points perspective, that's where things get murky, but they're the ones getting the pace boost here. So I'm definitely highly interested in the Kings players. De'Aaron Fox, the primary, of course. I really like him a lot. Bielitsa is kind of tough to take a shot on. He's right on the cusp of projecting well. We're not really sure how they're going to go about with the minutes. They do have Rashawn Holmes back. So that's been the biggest issue with the Kings, is trying to figure out their minutes. It's not easy. It could be very difficult. Harrison Barnes is one player that has played a lot of minutes. I'm pretty confident that he's one of the guys that remains there. I think he'll be responsible for covering Brandon Ingram for a good portion of the game. Bielitsa is the big variable. They're going to put him on Zion. That's going to be difficult for him. But Buddy Hield coming off the bench, I don't give a damn. I still like Buddy Hield. I'm actually going to give him a full... I know I have him over-projected, but since he's gone to the bench, his usage rate has been significantly higher. So I want to reflect that and make sure that I get enough teams with him in there to satisfy what I'm looking for. Bogdanovich has been good. I'm perfectly fine getting more exposure to him. So this is it for me. This is the game for me. I didn't love any of the other games, any of the spots. I love this spot in particular. I'm be game stacking the shit out of this game, and that's that. Getting some questions here. Arizona drama. I'm still shocked Reddish ain't in that damn lineup for the Hawks. I know, but you know what though? If you notice, Dwayne Dedman's only getting minutes in the 20s, so it's like he's the one that's coming out for Reddish to go in and get minutes. Marco, would it be crazy to start the best 4 Pelicans players? I've seen people get first place with three same players. Not at all, bro. Absolutely. I do that shit all the time. So there's a difference. You'll see when we get to baseball season. When we stack in baseball, it's all about correlation. When we stack in NFL, it's all about correlation, right? Quarterback to the receiver, that's a positive correlation. The number 1 hitter, the number 2 hitter, number 3 hitter, positive correlation, assuming they all get on base and do their thing. In basketball, it's not really correlation I'm after. It's just a matter of, is this game good enough? Are the prices low enough for the situation they are in? So in this case, I do think New Orleans is a little overpriced, but we have value to make that work. And looking at our projections, there wasn't a ton of guys projecting for no 6x today, if you noticed. Sometimes we get slates where they are, and that means the pricing is soft. Sometimes the pricing is a little more strict, like days like today. Now, again, if we get Tony Bradley opened up and we get some spots here or there, things can go a little bit of a different, way. But I'll say that I'll always overpay for a game stack. I got no problems doing it. And at the end of the day, it's not about correlation. It's not about I'm going to take, Zion with Drew because I think that they correlate better assist-wise. That may be true, but that's not what basketball is about. You're not going to make a living off doing that. It's more about this game is going to get nasty and stay close. And if that happens, it's going to take a team effort from everyone. And that's where I'm at with this game. Because keep in mind, both teams have had 2 days rest each. So they're both rested. I expect to see shots go in the bucket. I expect to see guys make shots today. So it is not crazy at all, Marco. I often do that. You got to find the right team at the right price. Look at the Kings right here. They're priced appropriately to do a stack. The issue, of course, is figuring out which ones because the minutes are hard to project. It's the coaches that are the toughest to project. What the coaches are going to do. But yeah, if you take a look at what we have here, as a team, keep in mind, the Pelicans are one of the fastest teams in the league. So Sacramento is going to be paced up like a motherfucker. And now you factor in that the prices are all within range, all affordable. You got to take it slate by slate, but I think both teams are certainly stackable today. My favorite game stack of the night. I'll be getting exposure to both sides. Just Rose says, Lonzo has an axe to grind. Remember Fox versus Lonzo in college. Fox shut him down, did him dirty. Yes, sir. Tejas, what's up, bro? Tejas says he's tired, man. I'm tired of shit, too. I've been tired ever since I got this puppy, man. I mean, I've been tired before that, but for different reasons. Juice, don't forget Buddy Hield. He's got something to show if the Pels, to show the Pels true shooter. Absolutely. I mean, you don't got to tell me shit, but tell the rest of the nation. I love this game, no doubt. I'll tell you what fucks up the Kings. Last year, I stacked the Kings more than anybody, and it was successful. But last year, they had a coach who stuck to the rotation better. Luke Walton is notorious for not sticking to a rotation and changing up his rotation all the time and being a douche. He did it when he was coaching the Lakers, and I hated it. Came here and ruined the Kings for me. Just roll. Besides Fox, who's your second best King to roster? So this is where it gets tough. That's why I'm going to have all of them. But so Fox number one, obviously. After that, it's probably... So I want to say Buddy Hield. I'm more realistically going to get more exposure to Bogdanović because he starts. But Buddy Hield is actually my second favorite off the bench because of the usage. So really, Fox, Hield, Bogdan. Then I think Harrison Barnes. After that, then I get into the Bielitsas, the Kent Bazemores. But my first four... And the only reason I got Bielitsa is because I think Bielitsa is going to see Zion. I'm worried about that. And Bielitsa's minutes have been a little further down ever since, now that they have Giles, Alex Len. The only reason that he was getting monster minutes before is because he was playing center. They had no centers. But that's gone now. So I'm a little nervous about the minute expectation for him. But he could do it. I mean, he's got upside, no doubt. And on FanDuel, he's crazy cheap. But that's how we handle that. All right, Nation, I'm going to get up out of here. We are going to, don't go nowhere. We're going to bring on Paulie D for part 2, talk some game theory, try to answer more questions if we have time, figure out what Paulie's doing tonight, and most importantly, keep you guys updated with all the news. We have a lot of injury information we're still waiting for, so hopefully we get that news before lock. If you have not, hit that like button. I'm saying it again because it really means a lot. It really, really helps us. I'm not here to try to annoy the shit out of you all day. We need the likes, guys. Hit that like button. Show YouTube that we are the real deal. We are the premium DFS content provider that the nation needs. So hook it up. Hit that like button. And don't go nowhere. I'm going to play some background music, play a little ad for you guys. And we'll be right back with Paulie D, ready to do dirties. Real quick, Adam Lomax, 3 from New Orleans. Got to have Fox. SGA too cheap. Kleber riding the Portis train. Love it. Need utility, 3,400 or under. Who do you like? Adam, 3,400 at the util, right? That's what it was. Let me see if we can find it real quick. Give me 1 sec. I'm just gonna do it. See if I can find a quick solution for you. If Tony Bradley opens up, it's easy. It's him, no doubt. I guess for now, I mean, if you were stuck in that price range, you could take a shot on Iggy. I know Paulie had mentioned Frank Nitti. You got Nerlens Noel. That's a dirty price range. I would feel more comfortable if I had something more solid. I would probably rebuild unless I found something more solid. But if you want us to pick with them, I mean, I guess Don Maker, if you want us to pick what we have to work with. But I don't feel great about him either. If we get Tony Bradley, it's him, no doubt. So don't go to One Nation. We'll be right back. Just going to play some background music. Hit that like button. We'll be back with Paulie D in a second. What up, nation? We are back with part 2 of the NBA Wise stream. CK013 here, joined once again by the GOAT, the true OG. Y'all know him as Paulie D, and y'all can find his ass on Twitter at Paulie with 8 Ds. Paulie, what's happening?
What's up, dude?
Nothing, man. Just trying to dominate another day. Man. 6 game slate right up our alley. Was really hood. You know what I mean?
True that.
Did you,
big news just dropped.
Yeah, man, new city, right? We got the bucket stuff. Not the news I wanted. I'm waiting for that Rudy Gobert news. but yeah, Terry Rozier has just been ruled out. For anyone who does not know, Terry Rozier has just been ruled out. With that said, Paulie, give me your overall thoughts on the slate, and then I'll start asking about some of these injuries and get into the usual questions. But what are your thoughts overall?
I like the slate. 6 games, very manageable. We've got the 230 plus totals that I think are going to be somewhat popular, and we've got 2 shorthanded teams in Charlotte and Miami that are probably going to draw a lot of attention. Not a ton to really spend up on, so it's like I'm kind of glad this value is kind of opening up because the field was almost getting forced into a balanced build, which I prefer today. But with these little things happening, I think they're just going to kind of jam in Luka with the value, and I kind of prefer the balanced route. There's some value plays I like, but you can blend that in with just a couple other or more, mid-tier kind of studs instead of just going up to Luka or whoever people are liking, Jokic or something like that. So I'm into the balanced build. I like a couple game stacks. There's a couple of contrarian games I think stay close and play faster, but it's just like, all right, there's nothing like I'm dying to play that I'm in love with. I don't think I'm going to have a ton of stuff at super high exposure unless Gobert gets ruled out.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I mean, I'll probably be taking a stand on that New Orleans Sacramento game, but outside of that, I agree with you. I think I'm going to be fairly spread out. If Tony Bradley were to open up, that'd be a value play I'd be willing to go ham with. But if that doesn't open up, then I'm content with not going too crazy on these value plays. Though I do like Maxi Kleber. With that said, let's talk about. We'll go through the tiers first, and then we'll talk about some of the injury situations and kind of break them down as my dog chases his tail repeatedly. Paulie, start us off with the studs, man. I know that I'm with you. I'm looking at more of the balance builds, but I guess we'll stop it at like 8,500 or so. Well, really, maybe we should take it down. Yeah, take it down to like 8,500 because we got Drew Holiday 82. I'd rather consider him as part of the mid tier, but talk to me.
All right, down to 85, you said?
Yes.
All right, so there's only 5 guys to this 1, 2, 3, 6. Now that Embiid is playing, on DraftKings the price is too high. I wouldn't even consider him. But Bam with no Jimmy Buckets, even with Jimmy Buckets was in a nut spot. I'm all right with the $9K price tag, and Trae Young. Those are the 2 I like the most up there. I did like Tobias Harris. I think he's all right, but with Embiid returning and getting some minutes and taking some usage, it's a little annoying, but I think he still probably meets expectations, just probably not like in line for a ceiling output anymore. So Bam and Trae, the only 2 I'm really interested in.
I feel you. I was just telling the nation how I plan to go underweight on Luka. Not like it's just more of an ownership thing and just me liking the builds better without having to suck too much of that dirty value. You know what? With that said, Paulie, talk to me about the mid tier plays, man. I know we're both pretty high in the mid tier.
All right. Yeah, there's a lot in there. So Zion is probably my favorite play on the whole slate. And I really like that game. Goran Dragic now becomes really, exciting. So does Devontae Graham with no Terry Rozier. Really like Miles Bridges now. De'Aaron Fox, I'm really into. Lonzo Ball or Drew Holiday. I kind of favor Lonzo Ball by a tad. I think he'll have a little extra motivation. I'm cool with Mike Conley. I like Chris Paul today. I'm good with Danilo Gallinari, Jamal Murray. Those are the main ones. I want to have game stacks of Sacramento, New Orleans, and OKC, Utah. I really like those 2. And then, definitely some Knicks, Atlanta stacks as well. RJ Barrett in the mid-tier. You've got Elf Payton, I think's viable. I think you got to kind of consider Christian Wood, even though 8-1 is not ideal, but they're running out of guys to do anything. He'll do everything. You don't got to, ask him twice. So I'm into that. If we don't get Rudy Gobert ruled out, he's somebody I think will be very low owned, and at 7,500 on DK does have some upside actually. But we're all hoping he gets ruled out, and we can just go all in on his backup, the GOAT, Bradley. Buddy Hield, I'm cool with too. But my favorites are Zion plus, a guard from his team with Fox plus another player from that team, and then I like the Charlotte guys, Miles Bridges and Devontae Graham quite a bit.
Sure enough, talk to me about the value, Paul. Are you looking to go all the way down to the bottom with the Thon Makers, or are you looking a little more towards the top, like the Maxi Cleavers, or neither?
Well, my instinct is that Thon Maker won't be very popular. I could be wrong. I haven't looked at ownership. So if I'm wrong, then I don't want to.
He's projected to be pretty popular. He's projected to be the second highest owned player on the slate outside of Luka.
Oh, wow. Okay. So I can't really get involved in a ton of that. But 3,100, the guy, when he does get minutes, has been somewhat reliable. And there's just, like I said about Christian Wood, there's just nobody else there with Henson out today. At 3,100, I mean, that's just ridiculously cheap. You got to get some, you know what I mean? I'd rather get Bradley, but, even if that opens up, you may want to play both of them and just jam in everyone else that you like. But I like the Colomelli, Kendrick Nunn, the brothers from Charlotte are back in play again. Martin brothers. I like Jay Crowder. I like DJ Washington. Paul Millsap at 5-1. Frank Nitti, unfortunately, I think you got to look at. I really envision the Knicks playing him to guard Trae Young. He had a great game yesterday. And, I think you kind of expect similar minutes and probably, decent results today. So he's in play as well if you want to value guard. Derrick Jones Jr. with no Jimmy Buckets is definitely in play. He'll probably start. He'll probably follow Devontae Graham around. That's really it, though. I'm not... Miles Bridges is my favorite value play at 5-1. Jordan McRae, I do like. I left him out. Thon Maker's fine. Maxi Kleber's very good. Kendrick Nunn, I think, you always got to take a shot on without Jimmy at this price. But I'm not really looking for the stars and scrubs build. I really like the mid-tier. I think you get, optimal lineups between 45 and 8,500 all day.
Yeah, I like more of the balanced build as well. One player that I am particularly worried about is Joel Embiid. I would anticipate a minutes limit for him, but we haven't heard anything official on that. All we know is that he's playing. And this is a spot where, centers have just done ferocious dirties to Detroit ever since they got rid of Drummond. Any thoughts on that situation with Joel Embiid coming back?
What are they saying about his minutes?
They haven't said a word about his minutes. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. I can't do it on the DraftKings price. FanDuel, maybe just because he probably won't have any ownership. And, he does have big upside. It was like a hand injury, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. It's been so long that I barely remember, but I'm pretty sure it was a hand injury. Well, no, a left shoulder from what I see.
Oh, shoulder.
From what I see, it says a left shoulder. He did break a finger, but I think he played through that. Then I think he hurt his shoulder, and that was it.
Okay. So I think on FanDuel where you're getting the extra points for the blocks and steals, maybe take a stab there, 10% or less. But I'm not interested in Embiid. It just kind of ruins the rest of the guys that I was looking at on Philly.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that in the slightest. All right, with that said, let's talk about some of the injury situations that we have. We're obviously waiting for more to open up, but we have some to work with. We'll start with the first one, I guess, off the gate, which is the Terry Rozier situation. You mentioned you like Miles Bridges. However, there's also some ancillary pieces to look into. Keep in mind, we had a situation similar to this recently where Charlotte got ruled out in a game where they were big underdogs. And we all kind of loaded up on the Charlotte players, and they got blown out and destroyed because at the end of the day, they are a bad team. And we all drastically regretted it. I'm still fighting. I'm obviously going to get a little more exposure to Graham. Bridges, I'm with you. I do genuinely like because I think his price is reasonable. But other than that, I'm going to try my best, even with his value opening up, to stick with my guns and still stay with that late game best I can. What are there any injuries on the slate that changed for you the build a little bit, whether it's Kendrick Nunn or like you said, the mid-tier guys with Goran Dragic? Is there any kind of seismic shift in the ownerships you're looking at now because of these injuries?
I mean, I wasn't planning on getting much more than like 15 to 20% of Graham and Bridges, and now they're both going to be like 50% plays for me.
Dorian Finney-Smith just got ruled out.
Okay. I mean, I'm like processing this Charlotte news. I got to do a quick on-off tool. Like, maybe we got to look at like Zeller and PJ Washington as well, or like the Martin brothers. Like, the other day when Devontae Graham got ruled out, like I loaded up on like PJ Washington, Miles Bridges, and like it was the Martin brothers, and I played Zeller. Like it was the Martin brothers and Rozier who really went off.
Right, and don't forget about Jalen McDaniels or whatever, who's been sneaking in creeping minutes away.
Yeah, another. Yep, exactly. I got to take a quick look at that, and we can come back to it. But it's like I definitely Miles Bridges. I'm going to play a lot more of because Terry Rozier is a big usage loss for them.
Oh, for sure. And especially when you consider that they are missing Malik Monk still. I'm updating the Charlotte situation now to our projections. I'm almost afraid to start building teams because I'm so worried it's going to look so drastically different, which will require more manual work for us to make the adjustments. But Dorian Finney-Smith has just been ruled out. This may be a situation where we actually do see Boban. If you look at how thin the team is getting, no Porzingis, no DFS to play the 4. Kleber is a guy that has been playing the 4. So even if say they could potentially start him at the 4, and then I guess maybe Michael Kidd-Gilchrist could start instead, but that's a starting lineup worth keeping an eye on. If they were to start Maxi Kleber at the 4 and then start Willie Cauley-Stein at the 5, I would think that means Boban's going to see at least 15 minutes or more. Any thoughts on that?
I don't think you really need it, especially if we get the Utah news. But
Agreed.
it's something you can get like 3% or less of. You know what I mean? But,
I agree with you completely. I just don't.
You got Son Maker down there, probably going to start, get 30 minutes. Like, yes, Boban's nice. 2.5 points per minute. But like, even if he was like listed as the starter, you don't know that he's going to play more than 15. And like, yeah, he might be able to get you 30 in that time frame, but it's not guaranteed. I don't know. I don't think you need it. Especially if we get the Utah news, you just don't need it.
I know. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has officially been ruled in. Still no Utah news. Just straight pathetic. Yeah, I'm running it now, and it's starting to look. It's looking a little bit different. It's not looking like I'm still getting a lot of New Orleans guys, but it does look like some of the adjustments I've made have reduced the exposure I'm getting to the Kings side, which I'm going to do something about because I'm not letting that rock like that, man. On it for a reason. Let me just see. I'll answer some questions in a second, and then I'll go ahead and try to update the Dorian Finney-Smith shit. Let me just make a quick update to Mr. Harry Barnes right quick. All right, update that projection. All right, let me pop in the chat real quick, talk to the nation. Let's talk to the nation, I definitely see some funny comments in here already. All right. Yeah, Adam Thon, Christian Savage. Why does everyone seem to want the Pelicans?
They're playing a team that plays no defense. They've been playing awesome. They need to win to try to make the playoffs, and they're the fastest team in the NBA.
Agreed. Now, to go back to Christian Savage's point, the other parts were they rarely all smash, and also a pace down matchup versus Sacramento. Those were his reasonings for questioning the Pelicans.
Technically, every matchup for them is paced down, but they usually dictate pace. Sacramento can play fast, and they will in this game. So this is going to be a very fast-paced game. I would bet the over. I think it goes over 230 and change, whatever it's at.
Holla.
What was the other statement?
He was just saying that they rarely all smash, yeah. Which is viable.
I mean, I don't know if that's true or not. I think
it depends on price. If they're all 5K, then yeah, they could all smash. Yeah. If they're all 9K, they're probably not all going to smash. So it really depends on price.
I think Ingram doesn't really smash with the rest of them, but I think you could see, and it's beyond just the starters. You got Melly, you've got Hart, guys that get minutes that you could add in a stack. Doesn't have to be just the starters, so. But Ingram's the one I don't think correlates much. I think the others kind of.
Starting lineup out for the 76ers, we've got Shake Milton, Josh Richardson, Tobias Harris, Al Horford, and Joel Embiid. Got the need for Embiid. I'll leave you in the streets. But yeah, I like the Pelicans as well for the same reasons Paulie said. They don't always smash, but again, when we look over the projections, there are some days where the pricing seems extremely soft. There are other days, there are some times where that's every day, and that's on FanDuel. But on DraftKings, there are some days when the pricing is softer than others. And a day like today, you saw there wasn't a ton of these guys projecting for 6X or better, which gives us an idea that the pricing on DraftKings is a little more strict. So maybe they don't all go for 5X, but it may be a slate where you only need them to go 5.6 today, 5.7, 5.8. That may be enough because of the pricing of everyone else and the matchups everywhere else. So highest total game on the board. Late night hammer coming in at, I'm assuming they're going to be lower owned than I think people are even projecting them for. So sign me up. But Christian, definitely some valid points, man. We appreciate you popping in the chat, giving your thoughts, because those are definitely some valid points. Being that their prices are a little elevated, and it is a pace down spot. But like Paulie said, every game is going to be a pace down spot except for Houston or Minnesota, because they are, I think, the fastest team in the league as of right now. But I do think that's a great point. Greg Bones says, yeah, give me 1 or 2 Pelicans, no more. A valid argument, again. For me, it's not even about playing them together. It's about trying to figure out which ones I want the most, and there are 4 of them that I really like. So I'm cool with playing 2v2s. I'm cool with playing lineups. That's why I'm doing 190 teams today, and that's part of the reason, because I want different combinations of different players, but I do want them concentrated on that team, in that game, I should say. Let's see. Nick says, what up, WiseTake Nation? What's happening? Marlo Stanfield, Dragic, Nunn, or RJ Barrett?
Dragic.
I always go Dragic. Greg Bones agrees. Arizona drama, is Embiid worth paying up for tonight in his first game back at 9K on FanDuel?
I would put him on one of 5 teams, playing.
Marco asks, is Joel Embiid on a minutes restriction? Not sure. Don't know. They haven't really said it. It was a shoulder injury according to the note. So normally players like that are able to keep in shape by running and stuff, but it is a player that's got a history of injury, so I'm not sure. And they're playing a team where they may not need him to play a full slew of minutes. They're playing Detroit. Let's be real. Detroit is horrible. But I'm not sure. Greg Bones says Zion is too thick to be 7'3". I love that. Greg, I love that statement. I agree with you too. He's way too thick to be 7'3" on FanDuel. I like that. MG says, I think if you have an illness right now, you're going to get ruled out. I really do. Wait, honestly, with the Corona stuff, bro, it's crazy. It really is crazy. We're pretty close to having a mass country quarantine. Everybody getting locked in their house. There's businesses looking into having their employees work from home to see if it's feasible. Because of it. And now compare it to the flu all you want, and it is technically a version of the flu, but the death rate's obviously been a lot higher. But it's something to be concerned. It's ironic that we're having this, this panic, I guess you could say, depending on who you are and what you feel. And then you're constantly seeing players sick, like more and more players every single day. It also happens to be a transitional time seasonally, so this is when people get sick when the seasons change. So it's ironic because every time a guy gets sick, you're really wondering. And like MG said, it does seem like they're being a little more conservative with guys who are sick and not wanting them around the rest of the team. Adam Lomax, you guys like Tyler Hero coming back?
He's 3-2. Like, you could take a shot at it. Like, he's a high usage player at times. Like, this would be if he was normally playing, we'd be really interested in him today. And 3-2, like, he may get enough minutes to really smash that price. I don't really love the values. I still don't like. What do you need his value for? Like, there's better value plays at his price, and like nothing really to pay up for. So, I don't think you really need a ton of them. But you want to stick them on a team or two out of a lot, go for it.
Holla, if you hear me. Our boy Frank Corona Jr. What up, Frank? Good to see you, Frank. If I have another guy get hurt in the first quarter, I'm gonna expose myself to the coronavirus. I know what that's like, man. Last week was brutal for me with the injuries. So Frank, we feel you, bro. We feel you. Good luck tonight, my man. Nick says Delon Wright and Tim Hardaway Jr. with a question mark. So I guess he's asking who's going to benefit now that Dorian Finney-Smith is out.
Yeah, I do like Tim Hardaway Jr. more. Delon Wright, like, sure, he could play a little bit more like 2, but like Courtney Lee's there. I don't know. With Luka there, he's just going to do everything. But like Tim Hardaway's the next most likely, so I'm good with him.
Damn, I skipped a shit ton of value. I skipped a shit ton of questions. My bad on that one. I skipped Frank's first question. Frank's first question: is it going to be popular to squeeze Luka and Trae together on DraftKings?
I don't think Trae's going to be that popular for some reason.
Yeah, I don't think so either. If we get the Tony Bradley thing, then it might, because then people are going to play Thon Maker. Thon Maker is power forward eligible on DraftKings too, so I can see people doing Thon Maker and Tony Bradley. And then if that's the case, going back to your point, who else are you paying up for besides Luka and Trae? Like, who else do you even want? Your center positions are taken, basically. Like, who else would you even want? But if that doesn't happen, or if it happens late, then I agree with you, Paulie. I don't think it doesn't seem like too many people are really on Trae. Seems like everybody's going with Luka and just settling for that. But again, the more value that there is, the more likely it will be. The next question correlates. Greg Bones, thought on prioritizing Trae Young over Luka?
I prefer Trae Young to Luka.
I prefer Trae Young today because of the ownership, to be honest. But I'm not crazy high on either. But for ownership purposes, I do favor Trae Young. Greg Bones also, don't sleep on bad boy Bacon. Do you think Bacon sees the court? He hasn't been playing all that much.
Been killing it in the G League.
Yeah. I mean, it's a shame that they don't give him more of an opportunity. I'm not really sure why. I mean, he's killed it in small samples in the pros, too. So I'm not really sure, why they do him dirty like that. Marco asks, who else will score besides Christian Wood? I feel like he's a must-play if they have a chance. I mean, if the game were to stay close, then yeah, I would think Christian Wood has a whole lot to do with that. But who else besides Christian Wood from that team, Paulie, can you see contributing if the game were to stay close?
Thon Maker, unfortunately, and what's his name? Jordan McRae,
Brandon Knight,
V. Mahicha, Bobby Brown, Freddie Dick Douglas, Brandon Knight. Yeah, Brandon Knight. But the main answers are Thon Maker and Jordan McRae for me today. It's probably Brandon Knight next to.
Yeah, I mean, you got to have Brandon Knight in the conversation. He's been like the second highest usage player on the team since Rose has been out. Even when Rose was there, he just wasn't getting the minutes. But agreed, I think him and McRae both have similar upside because McRae is more likely to take more shots, and I think McRae's a better overall player. Players got to play, right? Players got to play. That's what I'm told anyway. How much Thon Maker are you looking at today? I'm sure you weren't waking up anticipating that it was going to be a Thon Maker day, but
I mean, I'm like gonna get like 30% of them. Yeah, you know what I mean?
That's around where I want to be.
I'm really into the balanced build, so I'm like almost capping all my value players under 40.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. I think it makes sense indeed. Though. All right. On to the questions as we wait for more news. Okay, we did that one. Marco says, Josh Jackson now a good value play? Is it Josh Jackson? No. Justin Jackson. Sorry. That was my bad. He put Jay Jackson. I said the wrong name.
Yeah. You could take a shot on it. Doesn't do much for me.
Doesn't do much. I can't believe still no Gobert news. It's some bullshit, man. Gobert is sick, too, so... Shit. All right, then shit. Hey, boy, you found your bone? My man, you found his bone. Good boy. Yeah. All right. So, Daniel D says, since Richardson is back, what are y'all thoughts? Any interest in Richardson today?
No.
I'm not crazy interested. I just think we have better options elsewhere, but the matchup is soft. Adam Lomax, the same question he asked me before. 34K or under for utility. Who are you rocking with? 3.4K, 34K. 3.4K. I can't talk. Shit. But that ain't nothing new.
Damn.
Dirty Burgers.
Jalen McDaniels probably, or Frank Nitti.
Those are a couple. I mean, Jalen McDaniels at the time we didn't have the injury news, but yeah, I mean I don't disagree. I don't really have anything different to say on that one. Oh boy, All right, I am going to pull up. I need to update these projections right quick. For the Dorian Finney-Smith situation. I'm gonna take care of that shit right now and see what changes. What changes in the ranges. We got 23 minutes to Lock Nation. Still waiting on some pretty important news. I know Gobert is the one that I can't wait to get my hands on. He is sick, and and to MG's point, man, you gotta be careful with them players that are sick. So, give me that Tony Bradley, you dirty bastards. Give me it now. Honestly, if the Tony Bradley opens up, that could end up fucking me up because as of right now, I don't have any real intentions of playing too many of the of the studs, but obviously, just an optimizer in general, it's going to try to get you the best raw point players. So that could end up jamming me up a little bit. Shit. All right, then. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I guess I'll move Luka to 33.5. Hard away. I do things the hard way. We've got Courtney Lee projected for around 28 minutes. MKG gets a little bit of bump. We got Carly Stein here. Did we give a bump to Boban? How much did I give him? I only gave him like a minute. Yeah, I'm fine with that actually. Sometimes I do this shit so quick I gotta look at it twice to make sure I didn't fucking do something ridiculous. I'll be doing ridiculous things sometimes. Yeah, I'll be getting a shit ton of Maxi Kleber, that's for sure. That's happening. I don't feel great about it, but that's happening. He has had decent success against Denver for whatever that's worth. Man, come on with this Utah news. All we need is news and we're good to go, man. I can't comfortably build these teams without the news. And, people are tripping. Tripping hard. Tripping long. 1 second, Nation. I'll pop back in that chat. We'll do more questions. I'm just going to do a quick upload of thy projections and then dirty style it up. All right, I'll let that run and see what I'm ending up with. In about 19 minutes to lock. If Gobert misses, how does Bradley match up against Adams? That's from my boy Juice.
Bradley doubles. Oh.
Yeah, I mean, I don't give a damn who he's playing against. I'll still play Bradley at that price, assuming that he starts. I'll say that every time. Greg Bones, the Bruce Brown injury news is low-key huge in my opinion. Waiting on that. Baller for $1. Need that money for tomorrow. Bruce Brownington and the ankle man again. Yeah, I mean, I agree. If he gets ruled out, Detroit's going to be extremely thin. I think that would definitely benefit Brandon Knight. That would definitely benefit Jordan McRae. We'd probably benefit Svi as well. So definitely a low-key injury that not a lot of people are considering that could have an impact. And, I mean, we don't even have that information. It's 20 minutes to that game starts, and we don't have that information. It's getting ridiculous. We're 20 minutes to lock.
It really.
Something. Very frustrating.
Oh, would you look at that?
Oh, gee, golly. Do you like Nicole O'Malley today? I'm assuming you do, right? That's your boy. If you don't like him, then you're
I do
dirty.
like Nicole O'Malley. I love, guys who get 20 plus minutes take 6+ threes and are dirty at dropping them, and he just fits the profile of stuff I like.
Yeah, you like that shit. No, you like that shit. You like that shit. Who said that? Kirk Cousins, right? You like that. You like that. Kirk Cousins. All right, let's take a look at some of these exposures and see if I agree with them. Let me see. Getting a lot of Let me see. I gotta wait till the end because at first, remember I was telling you, if at first you start seeing like it looks like you're getting like 60% of player XYZ, you're like, where did that come from? Then by the end of it, it goes back down to like 30, and you're like, okay, shouldn't have overreacted. So I'm in that phase right now. I'm getting more Thon Maker than I want, and that's simply because I lowered a certain mid-tier play. But uber frustrating to not have the Tony Bradley news. Give me the Tony Bradley news. Let me look on Twitter.
What time does that game start?
It starts at 8, so 9? They don't have to give it to us right now. But, I mean, come on. If he's sick, he's sick. He didn't go to shoot around. Like, come on. What's the dealio? I'm about to Google this shit. What is this? Rudy Gobert. Rudy Gobert, I'm Googling you. Well, I'm really looking on Twitter. What? I got to tweet deck this shit. Oh, the news just came in. Oh, shit, is that real? Is that real? I think we got the news. Rudy Gobert out. Let's go. Rudy Gobert out with illness. Let's go. Suck it. Long. Hard. Let's do it. Loading up on Tony Bradley. Patches is excited. He don't even know why. He's all excited with me right now. He's like, oh, yeah, boy, you going to give me a treat? I'm like, hell no. Only if I win tonight. But we got a better chance, though, if Tony Bradley can do dirties, you know. Yeah, boy. Eat that bone, boy. Yeah, it's so funny, brother. What's that?
Do a quick on off though, like what the impact was. Last month, Gobert off. I'm just curious, like who else?
Gobert don't miss very many games. You probably have to do a full season for that dude. He don't miss very many games, and he plays like 36 minutes a night. It's probably really hard to see, like Yeah,
you're probably right.
But we'll take Gobert off. There's no other significant Utah player, right? It's just him. Let's take a look at what happens. So Donovan Mitchell, 33.8% usage rate, 1.2 fantasy points per minute. Jordan Clarkson, 27.3% usage rate, 0.99 fantasy points per minute. Bojan Bogdanovic, 25.7% usage rate, 1.04. Let's look at the actual increases. Jordan Clarkson sees the most significant increase at 2.3%. That makes sense because he's on the second unit, so he doesn't really play with Gobert much. Donovan Mitchell, 2.4% increase in usage. That's pretty significant. Plus 0.09 fantasy points per minute. Mike Conley, 0.7%. Not the largest, but we got some stuff to work with here. But Donovan Mitchell gets a boost from what I see. Where's Bojan? Bojan doesn't necessarily get a boost, but his numbers didn't look bad. And then Jordan Clarkson, which I think I agree with that. But it is time. I'm making the Tony Bradley change now, son. That's what I'm talking about, Nation. Rudy Gobert ruled out. What does that do for you on the other side? Because Adams is actually really cheap. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yep. I like that game already, and now I think it just plays very fast and very, very nice little game stack sitch.
Agreed. Get me some more Clarkson. How much Clarkson was I even getting before? I gotta check before I do these things. I was not getting very much at the time, but this should help. Wanna be a baller, shot caller. Give me some Tony Bradley all day. So who was it that was asking about the 3,400? You now have your guy. Yeah. It is him. 15 minutes to lock, Nation. Make sure them teams are built. Everybody popping in. Everybody's chipping in here. That's the community aspect right there. Adam says, boys, I need that Rudy news. Loving that high mid tier. Might hate playing Maker. So may have to drop one out of the 3 New Orleans players. Well, we got it, boy. We got it for your ass. Z3L, Rudy out. Matt Smith, Rudy out. Priceless Fame, Gobert out. Yeah, everybody chipping in to make sure everybody knows what's going on. What the hell? Where did you get that? Boy, you better bring me that shit. Bring me that shit, boy. Bring me that shit, boy. He's getting all excited. He didn't bring me the damn thing. Whose shirt is that? He just grabbed somebody's shirt. Anyway, Moose Ruse, Maxi Pad or Bridges?
Bridges.
I like Maxi Pad. Going back to MG's point about the illness, Emmanuel Mudiay was also sick and missed shoot around. He don't even play, but they still ruled his ass out. They didn't have to do that. They could have just said he's available and just left things the way they were because he ain't playing anyway. But they did go ahead and rule him out officially. So, holla.
Yeah, they told him don't even fucking
Hell
come.
yeah, better not bring that sick shit around me.
I had the kid call out sick, and I'm like, yeah, don't come tomorrow either. Make sure you're 100.
Like, yeah, you stay your ass at home, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Any interest in Ed Davis? You think he picks up some backup minutes today? Anything substantial?
I don't give a fuck about Ed Davis.
Who cares about Ed Davis when we got this guy here, son? I do agree. 14 minutes to Lock Nation. Make sure you get your teams, your squadrons built. Super disappointed in DraftKings today for the shitty contest. Just don't understand where that came from. Very, very, very upsetting. All right, I gotta update these projections. Rudy Gobert status. We know the dealio. Let me look at you. All right, Utah. Let's get busy. Let's get busy right quick. Shit. Alright then, shit. Tony Bradley sucking it hard and long. Hard and long. I'll be right back, bro. Keep throwing a train.
I did. Bet. All right. Fire them fucking questions in there. Once I get this crunch out the way, I will. I'll hit them up. But I'm going 100% Bradley on DraftKings. On it, just lock and load. Probably not going to play him much on FanDuel. To be honest, that's like if we didn't get the news, I was going to play him some there because of like the low ownership aspect of it. But I'm going to go 100% on him on DraftKings. So. You should too, or at least get a lot. Don't have to be 100. I wonder what CK's thinking about playing him. Ask him. CK,
what's up?
What are you planning on? How much exposure to Bradley you planning on?
Probably 80 to 100, something like that. Assuming that he's starting. I will say this just to be clear. I play on DraftKings where I have late swap. If for whatever fuck reason they say he's not starting, I will bail fast as shit. I'm not dealing with that shit no more. That whole bench shit. It's one thing again if a player's already in the rotation, I don't mind playing him off the bench. Chuck Clarkson, Buddy Hield, these kind of guys. But a guy that doesn't play much, if they're not willing to start him now, then I would think that's a sign that they're not willing to play him significant minutes. But as of right now, assuming that he starts, I'm willing to go heavy, real heavy.
I mean, he's been playing about 12 to 15 minutes a game lately, and like they've always got had Gobert in their starting lineup. I'd be shocked if he doesn't. The only way he wouldn't start is if they went with Ed Davis, and I really don't think that's going to happen. Like
they not to cut you off, but we did just get news. Bruce Brown has been ruled out. 11 minutes to lock. I want to make sure they know this. Bruce Brown has been ruled out. The Pistons will start Brandon Knight, Svi Mihajlovic, Tony Snell, Christian Wood, Don Maker. Heat will start Kendrick Nunn, Duncan Robinson, Solomon Hill, Derrick Jones Jr., and Bam Adebayo. So Bruce Brown has been ruled out. That is all.
I did.
So as far as point guards go, they're just going to play Knight and McRae a ton, I would think, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
all they got,
that, right? Like shit. All they got in the spot. Clark's on, Clark's off. All right, let me see what this is looking like. Shit. Bad. Did you ask me a question? Before?
Yeah, you answered it.
I did. Okay. Boy, better drop my fucking shoe. Hey, drop that shit. He went all the way downstairs and grabbed my sneaker. Hey, hold on. You mother.
Kids having trouble with the dog. I'm having trouble playing on multiple sites. It's a lot more work.
This mother sucker. Man. They see right about usually my wife will come home and at some point during the end of the show let him out and go do hang out with him. But she's like off, so she went out doing her thing today. And so Patches is like wondering what the hell. Why isn't anybody here to alleviate me of this situation? And he's taking full advantage, this guy. Full advantage. Hey, drop that shit. What did I say? What did I say, fool? You better act right before you get smacked right, doggy. Let's see. Oh, news. Gotta check the news. Updating news all the damn time. Yeah, now I gotta fight this good fight because it's trying to give me like a ton of Luka, even though it wasn't before, just simply because we have all this value. It's the only reason it's doing it. And I don't mind. I mean, I want some Luka. It's not like I don't want him at all. I just want to, stay firm in that I wanted to be underweight for a reason. Hey, get off of that, boy. Come here. Go to your bed. Oh, you fool. You fool. I pity the fool, Patches. I pity the fool. He's like, man, fuck you. he's like,
pity this.
He pity these nuts. I can lick my own nuts. You can't eat it. That's basically what he's telling me.
Pity that.
Pity that all day. Nasty ass. All right, let's see. We got what? Oh, we got some time. We got 8 minutes to lock. It's not the end of the world. Bruce Brown. Tony Bradley will start for Rudy Gobert. Confirmation. Hornets will start Graham, Cody Martin, Bridges, Washington, Zeller. Nothing out of the ordinary. I think that was kind of what we were all expecting. Yo, how much Zion you playing, bro?
75%.
Woo-wee! I love it. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. McDonald's status right there. Go to 38. 838s, that is. Oh, come on with this shit. Give me the good. 7 minutes to lock. On the prowl for news. Oh, maybe I shouldn't have made that change because I like where it's going. Patches, if you got my other shoe, where are you finding this shit, boy? This is crunch time right now, and you're acting a fool. Shit. Well, this is on the wife. If he eats up my wife's clothes, that's technically on her because she should have been here by now for the routine, right? Shit. Patches, mommy's gonna bust your ass, boy. Mommy's gonna bust your ass. Not me. Mommy. Not me. It's gonna be mommy. Okay, 25.25. 6 minutes to lock. I hate when I'm in these situations. I might get the sweaty palms, bro. When I have to make too many changes right before I get the sweaty palms. Not a good feeling. It's not a good feeling. Now I got this dog acting up over here because he knows I'm busy. He can feel my anxiety. He can feel me sweating. And now he's like, oh, this is a good opportunity for me to fuck with everything.
Right.
And, I can't even be that mad because he's right. It's a pretty smart move. So you get mad, but at the same time, you're like, I commend you. That's actually really smart to recognize that. So, shit.
I commend you.
I do. It's pretty slick with it, I have to admit. 6 minutes to Log Nation. I know we ain't in there answering questions right now, but it is crunch time. Literally. It is literally crunch time. Shit. Alright, then shit. What you gonna do about it? Nothing, then. Shit. Oh, dear. God dang. Shit, I went a little too heavy on Buddy Hield there. Fuck. 5 minutes to lock, Nation. 5 minutes to lock. Let's get it in.
Mm.
4 minutes to lock. I'm cutting it close. I'm going to be cutting it real close. And hard. And close. And hard. Let's go. Let's go. Doing the update stuff. Let's download these. Let's download these. Got time for this shit right here. All right, rapid fire with these teams. Let's go. Rapid fire. Let's go. Get the swole on, you know. Oh, what a day, man.
Who are like your top 5 highest owned?
Right now, Tony Bradley, Maxi Kleber, Zion, Ingram, De'Aaron Fox. Holla. It's kind of tight after the Bradley thing though. Like Bradley, Kleber, I have at high exposures, and then after that, it's kind of tight, like around 40-ish%. You know, similarly to how I was yesterday, except this time I have a whole shit ton of Tony Bradley. And I'm not even freaking out about how much, because I just want to make sure I have it put in for the first game, obviously, because it's only one game that locks, and it's not even a game that I'm all that interested in, so I'm not like, it's not the end of the world. So I just want to get it in. 3 minutes to lock, nation. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Yeah. Come on with this shit, man. I hate when it gets to the very end, like the last 15 to 20 teams, and then it just goes like dog shit slow. You know what I mean? All of a sudden,
it's like a gas station nozzle.
Yes.
Going, then it gets 25 cents away, and it creeps.
Yes, creeping TLC style. Shit, which is the witch? This is the witch. Holla like a pimp, though. 2 minutes to lock, nation. Get it in. Get it in now. Two minutes. Let's get it. Let's get it. Get it now. All right, going to upload with about a minute and a half to spare. All right, feeling gravy. Got it in. Got something up. No, panic slowly lowering because I have something up. All right, heart rate slowing. Things are going all right. I'm going to pop in the chat right quick. Love some of the comments we see right away. Christine has a question. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander or RJ Barrett?
RJ Barrett.
RJ Barrett. Holla. Solomaniac Hill. I like that name. Solomaniac Hill starting. I love it. Bradley starting. The nation's strong, man. They're just in here letting everybody know the deal. Bradley and Maker starting. Yes, sir. Adam, once again, get that too tall to be that thick Zion. I love that shit. It's true. It's true. That's hilarious. Marathon. Okay. You see some Thon. Matter of fact, I better check and see how much Thon Maker I was getting, because I wonder if, I got a whole lot less all of a sudden. Damn, I didn't even notice that. I got done dirty on that one. I'm not going to have time to adjust that either. So I'm going to be massively underweight on Thon. It wasn't intentional. It's just how it worked out because, the Tony Bradley thing opened up. But I'm not going to have too many teams with both, which is kind of disturbing. Kind of disturbing.
You'll be fine, bro.
I mean, shit. We're at lock anyway, so there's not much I can really do about it. But anyway, nation, that's going to do it for us. Shit happens, I appreciate those of you. Looks like we did get a super chat in here. Let me see if I can find a user. Oh, shout out to Cliff. Retracted the message. Can't see the message, but he actually super chat $5. Appreciate you, Cliff. Holla. Oh, Baller Holiday. That's what it was. Oh, I didn't even see it. My bad, Cliff. My bad. But I tell you what, we got you, man. You got a special place in our hearts for that one, man. Baller Holiday. That's a tough question. What would you have said, Baller Holiday?
Oh.
I would have probably said Holiday. So you would have gotten a 50-50 answer from us. But anyway, sorry. At the end of the crunch time like that, it gets a little difficult. We're obviously building our own team, just kind of hanging out with y'all and making sure we give y'all the news and all that shit. But anyway, that's going to do it for us, nation. Appreciate you. Shout out to Cliff, man. Much appreciated, man. People like you are going to keep the nation going long and strong. Hit that like button if you haven't already. Tell your friends, tell your wives, anybody who want to play DFS, you let them know about the WiseTake Nation. For Paulie D, for myself, the entire WiseTake Nation, as always, good luck.
Yeah.